Okay, so some of you might be having an idea about it, or maybe some of you would be quite, completely unknown to it. So, any idea what is family therapy? Anybody? You can write that to me in the chat box. Doc, what do we do in family therapy? What's there in it? We have all the family members on it. We provide group therapy. Yes. Solving issues of family members. Concerned about their relationship, their communication, right? Understanding the grievances and giving your inputs. Good. So family therapy is another type of psychotherapy which is used that can help family members improve their communication and resolve their conflicts. Okay, so we see that family therapy is implied by you as a psychologist or as a counselor tomorrow when you feel that there is some common issue amongst all the members of the family. जब सब लोगों में के साथ वो इशू आ रहा है या फिर the family is not understanding how to work upon the problems, then it is your role as a family therapist. You work with them to resolve those issues in the families. Usually, it is provided by a psychologist or maybe a clinical social worker or a licensed therapist as well. Okay, तो family therapy में exactly होता क्या है? What do you do in that? So family therapy is a structured form of therapy wherein you are reducing the distress and the conflicts in the family system. और आप कैसे करते हो वो? आप उनका इंटरैक्शन पैटर्न बेटर करके उनके इश्यूज को सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हो. So you are helping the family to adjust to maybe some immediate problem which they have, or slowly and steadily over time, whatever issues they're having, you help them to solve those issues and adapt towards each other in a much better way. That is the work of a family therapist. हम फैमिली थेरेपिस्ट को रिलेशनल थेरेपिस्ट भी कहते हैं because your major work is to work on the relations of people with each other. So what's happening in the family, what is wrong, and how to cure it is majorly a part of family therapy. So अब यहाँ पे therapist का major focus क्या होता है? As a therapist or a psychologist, you have to majorly focus on analyzing specific previous instances of conflict, and by reviewing them, you work on present. So for example, somebody comes to you that ma'am, मुझे मेरी family में कोई भी नहीं समझता. I feel that nobody understands me, nobody cares for me, and I am all alone in my family. If somebody comes to you with issues like that, so at that moment, as a family therapist, you just cannot outwardly, I would say, agree to what the client is saying. You have to review the previous instances also. अगर कोई क्लाइंट की बात नहीं सुन रहा तो क्यों नहीं सुन रहा? आपको वो पहले की सिचुएशंस, वो इंस्टेंसेस देखने होंगे, and after analyzing them, it is easier for you to then predict that what is happening in the society or majorly in that family. तभी आप एक right solution या alternative दे पाओगे. So as a family therapist, you are not dealing with only one person. You're dealing with the entire family. So you have to keep all of them in your consideration. Okay. Now, family therapy has 4 major goals to be addressed. These goals you have to keep in your mind when you talk about family therapy, or if you say you want to practice that tomorrow. Now we will go by them one by one. Who can make me understand point number 1? Exploring the interactional dynamics of the family and its relationship to psychopathology. इसका क्या मीनिंग है? राइट टू मी इन द चैट बॉक्स. What are we trying to do in goal number 1? ध्यान से टर्म्स को पढ़ो and then tell me. Exploring the international dynamics. Exploring the relationship, working on the abnormalities, very good. Understanding the functioning, थोड़ा और ध्यान दो. International dynamics and its relationship to psychopathology. Yes. So goal number 1 says that we are working on the communication patterns of people. How do they talk to each other? How do they communicate with each other? And also, are there abnormalities present in the family? So basically, it means that how are, see, for example, there might be some person who has bipolar disorder in the family. Okay, so how is the family contributing towards that person also? How are they communicating with that person? All of this comes as a part of your goal number 1. Then is goal number 2, mobilizing the family's internal strength and functional resources. What is the meaning? In the chat box. Family's internal strength and functional resources. Good. Absolutely. So you are working on the internal process of the family. उनमें आपस में कितनी will power है to resolve the problem? How much are they inclined towards creating a better family environment? कभी कभी होता है कि आप देखेंगे when you working as family therapist that few members of the family get really upset with what all is going and they leave the hope. They say मैम हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा. Situations कभी solve ही नहीं हो पाएंगी. So you have to work on the internal strength of people and make them realize कि चीजें ठीक हो सकती हैं. And that's how you work on building their internal strength and confidence to work towards the problem. और तभी जो resources हैं, they begin to work on them. So you have to create the willpower in all the family members. Also, goal number 3 says restructuring the maladaptive interactional family systems. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? Maladaptive interactional styles. Sorry, not systems, styles. Recordings मिलेंगी, don't worry. I know the house is full. Few members are not able to join. Don't worry. आपको recordings मिलेंगे सारे. You can look at it later. Yes, what is wrong in the communication style also? लोग आपस में कैसे बात कर रहे हैं? क्या जैसे मेल से बात करी जाती है वैसे ही फीमेल से भी करी जाती है? Or is the child being only respectful towards the father and not towards the mother? When you begin to work upon the way of communication and interaction, that is the third goal. आपने देखा होगा बहुत फैमिलीज में जो although अब कम हो गया है in the society but still it prevails in some societies wherein still the male members of the family are given a lot of respect and the female members are not provided that respect and love. That's a part of your interaction family style. Is the equal amount of love and respect being given to everybody when you're communicating with them? And then you have the fourth and one very important goal called as strengthening the family's problem solving behavior. ये तो बहुत simple है. बताओ, what is the meaning? I request everybody to please put on your cameras. It's easier for me to connect with everybody like that. Strengthening the family's problem solving behavior. What is the meaning of this goal? Learning how to cope up. Yes. Good. And making them solve the problems, working on solution oriented. Exactly. So basically you are making the family more independent and teaching them how to be solution oriented. Your work as a psychologist is always to make your client independent in life ताकि वो अपने problems खुद solve कर पाए. Yes or no? Right? We have to make them independent. If yes, thumbs up. If no, thumbs down. Show me. Right. So we have to make them independent in life. Similarly, in family therapy, you have to strengthen the overall problem solving ability of all the members in the family so that tomorrow they don't need you and they can solve their issues by themselves. So these are the four major goals you have as a psychologist or as a counselor or as a trainer in family therapy. इतना clear है? So write a yes to me in the chat box and then I will proceed further. Okay, thank you. Moving ahead. Now we come down to the functions of a family therapist. एक family therapist के क्या-क्या functions होते हैं? So the first and the foremost thing that you have to do as a family therapist is that you have to build a good and empathetic rapport with all your clients. Rapport का मतलब you have to build that bridge through which the client can communicate with you what they want to openly. वो अपने thoughts आपके अपने feelings आपको बहुत अच्छे से और आसानी से बता पाए. They don't feel judged at that time. That's your work as a proper family therapist or I would say as a psychologist. Building a good rapport is very, very important. Rapport अच्छा build up नहीं होगा, client आपको अपनी problem नहीं बताएगा. Then you have to use that rapport to evoke the expression of major conflicts. अब problem क्या है वो तो आपको client ही बता सकता है, right? And you have to make that pathway through which the client feels flexible and open enough to discuss their problems with you. तो अगर अच्छी rapport बनेगी तो वो आपसे अपने issues, अपने conflicts discuss करना start करेंगे. You can clarify the conflicts and dissolve the barriers or the confusions which all the family members are having. ग्रेजुअली आपको क्या वर्क करना है, जब आप वो कंफ्लिक्ट उन प्रॉब्लम्स को समझ जाओगे, स्लोली एंड स्टेडीली यू हैव टू सॉल्व देम बाय डिसॉल्विंग। पूरा इशू इकट्ठे डिसॉल्व नहीं होगा, वन बाय वन यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन वन गोल एट अ टाइम, वन बाय वन you have to dissolve the issues and understand what is wrong with people. जैसे जैसे आप माइन्यूट इश्यूज को डिसॉल्व करोगे, आपको दिखेगा कि जो फैमिली की मेजर प्रॉब्लम, मेजर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, वो भी ठीक होने लग जाएगा। बट ऑलवेज बिगिन विद माइन्यूट प्रॉब्लम्स, एकदम से बड़े इश्यूज मत लेना। तो ये आप कैसे कर सकते हो? You will achieve this through a series of your partial interventions with the client. So you will see at times that some family members are not ready to accept what they have done, or they are not ready to accept their mistake, right? So they are called that they're in the state of denial in terms of psychology. So you will see that maybe okay, let me give an example. So there's a couple, a newly married couple, okay, and the new member, who's a new lady in the family, called as Bahu in Indian society, she comes to you as the psychologist and she says that, ma'am, I feel that I am not loved and respected by my new family. So you ask her, why do you feel so? She says, ma'am, मुझे लगता है मुझे वो प्यार और रिस्पेक्ट इस न्यू फैमिली में नहीं मिल रही है जो मुझे मिलनी चाहिए, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट मेरा रिलेशनशिप मेरे हस्बैंड के साथ खराब हो रहा है. Okay, I don't get that time also with them. So when you feel that yes, it is the need of a family therapy, we begin to talk to these families about it, and you might see that the client, which is the bahu, she is trying to explain something about the mother-in-law, but mother-in-law says, ma'am, मैं तो ऐसा करती नहीं. So maybe the client is telling you, ma'am, that day she spoke such words to me and I felt very bad. The mother-in-law can say, मैंने तो ये कहा ही नहीं, और मेरा तो वो मतलब ही नहीं था. So this can be a state of denial. मतलब कि वो उस चीज को मान ही नहीं रहे हैं, एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो पहले आपका काम है सब फैमिली मेंबर्स में अवेयरनेस जगाना कि आप क्या सही कर रहे हो और आप क्या गलत कर रहे हो. And after you make them aware, your next role is that you have to lift the hidden intrapersonal conflicts. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि हमारे खुद को लेके जो प्रॉब्लम होती है वो हमारे रिलेशनशिप को अफेक्ट करने लग जाती है. So for example, if I feel that I am low at confidence, मुझे ऐसा लगने लग जाएगा एक लेवल पे कि मेरी फैमिली वाले हमेशा मुझे ये जताते हैं कि मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस लो है. If I feel I'm very fat, I will begin to believe one day that my family is trying to make me feel that you're very fat. चाहे वो ऐसा करे या ना करें. This is intrapersonal conflict. तो आपको क्लाइंट को अवेयरनेस लानी है खुद की प्रॉब्लम्स को लेकर और वो दूसरों के साथ क्या गलत कर रहे हैं. अब ये बताओ कि करोगे कैसे? I'm waiting for your responses in the chat box. How will you do this? Any idea if anybody has dealt with any cases in family therapy? How do you resolve the problems? Identify the source of problem and then deal with it. Okay, who's this? Akanksha. Anybody else? देखो प्रॉब्लम ढूंढना तो बहुत आसान है ना? The big question is how to solve it. हमारी जितनी भी हमारी ट्रेनिंग्स होती हैं, बैचलर्स इन साइकोलॉजी, मास्टर्स इन साइकोलॉजी, इन सब में क्या होता है, आप थ्योरी तो पढ़ लेते हो, यू गेट टू नो थ्योरेटिकली व्हाट इज फैमिली थेरेपी, यू गेट टू नो बिहेवियर थेरेपी, लेकिन कौन सी टेक्निक्स यूज करनी चाहिए वो हमें उस थ्योरी में नहीं पढ़ाई जाती. दैट प्रैक्टिकली व्हेन यू विल हैव सम प्रॉब्लम टुमारो, व्हाट ऑल टेक्निक्स यू हैव टू फॉलो. और जो चीज वहां थ्योरी में नहीं मिलती वो फिर यहाँ वर्कशॉप से मिलती है. So few techniques that you can imply using family therapy are these, as I have mentioned. Okay, every technique focuses on one specific thing. मैं सब कुछ तो यहाँ डिटेल में कवर नहीं कर पाऊंगी बिकॉज ये इंट्रोडक्टरी सेशन है. सो डिटेल में जो है वो आपकी जो इंटेंसिव ट्रेनिंग होगी इन फैमिली थेरेपी मैं सिर्फ वहां समझा पाऊंगी. बट here I'll try to cover the basics. So few techniques that you can try to identify and then resolve the problem. The first technique is called as structural therapy. Structural therapy में हम क्या करते हैं? We identify and reorder the organization of the family system. What do I mean by organization of family system? Anybody? Write your answer to me in the chat. What do you mean by organization of family system? How the family works, okay? How they have built their systems. What are their conflicts? नहीं, देखो conflict अलग चीज है. अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में क्या प्रॉब्लम है. मतलब कि राइट, recognizing the responsibilities, recognizing the background, वो फैमिली रन कैसे होती है. कुछ बेसिक सिस्टम होगा हर फैमिली का रन होने का. I'll give you one example for this. There was a client of mine who told me that in her family there is a specific shoe shelf which is placed and that shoe shelf has specific levels. ठीक है, तो एक नॉर्मल शू शेल्फ है, उसमें 3-4 हम जैसे बोर्ड्स लगा देते हैं ना, वुडन बोर्ड्स है और 3-4 फ्लोर्स हैं, छोटे लाइक लेवल्स हैं शूज रखने के लिए. नाउ शी टोल्ड मी, मैम सबसे ऊपर वाले शेल्फ में सिर्फ मेल्स ऑफ द फैमिली के शूज आते हैं. Females are not allowed to keep their slippers or shoes in the first shelf. Second shelf में बच्चों के शूज आते हैं और फिर थर्ड शेल्फ में फीमेल्स और द गर्ल्स ऑफ द फैमिली के शूज आते हैं. So what is this? This is depicting the organization of the family system. क्या basis है? How is the family being run? These are the organizations. So at times you must have seen that if there is some ceremony which is being going on or some good, I would say, celebration, a lot of times the females of the family are not allowed to go over there. So this is the organization. When the girl is having her menses, she's not allowed to go to the temple. She's not allowed to go into the kitchen or touch mandir. This is again organization. So structural therapy works on family में कौन से ऐसे organizations हैं, ऐसे कौन से आपको ये features हैं आपको लगता है as a psychologist कि ठीक नहीं है. So I have to work on them. This is a part of structural technique. तो जब आप स्ट्रक्चरल टेक्निक लोगे आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ द फैमिली पे वर्क करना होगा. अगर आपको लगेगा कि फैमिली के इंटरैक्शन पैटर्न में प्रॉब्लम है, ओके, द वे दे आर टॉकिंग एंड कम्युनिकेटिंग विद ईच अदर, वहां प्रॉब्लम है, तो आप कौन सा थेरेपी यूज करोगे? स्ट्रैटेजिक. सो मे बी द child of the house doesn't talk to father properly but he talks to the mother. पापा क्या आते हैं वो अपने कमरे में भाग जाता है, वो फादर से ढंग से बात नहीं करता. इसका मतलब बच्चे और फादर के इंटरैक्शन पैटर्न में प्रॉब्लम है. जहां इंटरैक्शन आया वहां यू हैव टू गो फॉर स्ट्रैटेजिक थेरेपी. ऐसे ही when you feel that there are some unhealthy patterns जो एक जनरेशन से दूसरी जनरेशन में आए हैं, which are maybe not logical and which should not be continued. maybe logical है but सही नहीं है, वो continue नहीं होनी चाहिए. For example, सती प्रथा. right? What was sati pratha? Who can tell me? In the chat, please. What sati pratha? Yes, the wife had to willingly, maybe she was not willing, but consciously, she has to willingly die with the husband the moment he dies. It was sati pratha. So, something that you feel is an unhelpful pattern of belief systems which is being carried. क्योंकि दादा के पेरेंट्स करते थे तो दादा ने किया, दादा करते हैं तो पापा ने किया, पापा ने करा है तो हम भी करेंगे, which are not helpful patterns. आई एम सेइंग इट अगेन, इट डजंट मीन कि हर पैटर्न गलत है, लेकिन हर फैमिली में कुछ कुछ पैटर्न्स होते हैं जो करे जाते हैं ऑन द नेम कि बेटा बड़े करते आए हैं तो हम भी करेंगे। जहां ये पैटर्न्स आए, देयर यू हैव टू यूज द ट्रांस जनरेशनल थेरेपी टेक्निक। जैसे अभी मैंने आपको शूराक वाला एग्जांपल दिया। If you feel that that is not at all logical and that's not justified, so over there you have to make the family understand it, और ये ट्रांसजेनरेशनल थेरेपी का पार्ट होगा। So basically this is how you have to work on the specific area of problem